I had my own marketing and branding agency, and I was serving, coaches and authors and speakers and helping them getting their branding and messaging out there, because that's my background. But I myself had my own experience with coaching after having a burnout and breakdown. The wheels fell off the bus. I had my mother-in-law pass away from cancer. I had a teenage son in mental health crisis, and the pressure of, managing motherhood, a business, and all the things eventually took its toll on me, and physically, mentally, and emotionally, I had a breakdown. I literally could not move for like 6 months. I just closed my business. In retrospect, I look back, there were signs that I ignored, and I was just pushing. I'm kind of one of those people who will just keep going until the wheels do fall off, because I have tolerance for pain, and I will just, I'm a trained ballet dancer and figure skater. So for me, I'm like, okay, we just got to do it, right? Just get up and do the thing. But eventually what happened was, plus the fact I'm originally from South Africa, we're like, just stop complaining. There's someone poorer than you. Stop, pull yourself together. There's no time to complain. And that's how I was raised. And, I immigrated from South Africa to England, then England to the USA in 2006, and never really gave myself a chance to breathe or relax or regroup. Like, there wasn't that option. And so eventually when, 2016 rolled by, it was just, like the perfect storm. And eventually, like, physical grief I'd never experienced. Like, I was like, why do I feel like I'm, can't stop the ugly cry? And my body was aching, and it was, felt almost sick. And I realized I just couldn't keep pushing anymore. I had to give myself a chance. So I closed my business down. I said to myself, I need time. Like, I need time to process, especially grief. Grief has a weird way of, sometimes you think you're fine, and the next minute something triggers your smell or a sound, and then all of a sudden you have all these emotions that come running back. So for me, I had to give myself that time. So best thing I could do for me was to put on my own oxygen mask, because everybody around me, my family, my husband, my kids, they were getting affected by my behavior. They were getting affected by, me not being able to pull it together. And I'd realized that when there's people relying on me, I can't afford to sit in a lump and feel sorry for me, or I can't afford to ignore the big, hard questions, because I don't know about you, but I would prefer to be, performing and living life at optimal, using all my capabilities without having these hang-ups. I'm a Christian woman of faith, and I really dived into, asking those existential questions. Like, why am I here, and what is the meaning of life, and what's my purpose? And I have to do something about it. I can't sit in a corner and cry and feel sorry for myself. This isn't helping. I need to do something else. So I really started diving into what the brain is, neuroscience, like, why do I behave the way I do? Why do I have these patterns of thoughts that are driving, and realize a lot of them go back to childhood. A lot of what I call junk in the trunk that we've never resolved. The fear, the perfectionism, the people pleasing, all those kind of things have roots from when we were kids, without tapping into all parts, because we're not just human doings, we're human beings. And part of our being is we're a spiritual being, and we have our soul, which is our mind, our will, and emotions, and we have our body. And our body will scream at us, and it will revolt when we do not take care of it. When there is an internal conflict, it will eventually make its way out. So there was only so much denial and stuffing that I could do until everything exploded. And I mean, it was the worst thing that could have happened, but it was also the best thing that could have happened to me, because I'd realized through that process, I had to face what I had to deal with. I could no longer afford to sabotage my own success, my own health, my well-being, my relationships, because I refused to deal with the hard things. So for me, it was all about, questioning why I was thinking this way. And as I started diving into this process, I really fell in love with the concept of coaching, and not just coaching, but training and retraining, because that's just how I was raised. Like, if you want to learn a skill, you learn the new skill and you repeat it over and over, right? That's what I do with my figure skating, is if I want to learn something, you just keep doing it until you perfect it. So I've really developed over the last sort of 5-6 years, my own sort of signature system of changing the brain, helping people get unstuck from where they are, and rewire the brain to really start functioning and thinking and running their lives and businesses cleanly, like with clean thinking, clean processing. So you're not having these hang-ups that keep causing you to backfire and self-sabotage. So for me, and the metacognition is fascinating because of the power of the brain. So many of us don't tap into our full potential, but it's just there. It's available to all of us if we're just willing to look under the hood and do some hard stuff. I'm sure all of us who've lived through the years of 2020 will say that definitely threw a spanner in the works for a lot of us. And it made us stop and realize what really matters. And we had to assess our values and our priorities, which is a good thing. I'm actually super excited that people have finally had a chance that's been forced upon them to stop and take stock, reassess and realign themselves to really think about what they're thinking about and where they want to go. So I think it's only up from here because we now have this awareness key. Well, the best place to find me is my website, which is mimikacooney.com, and I'll spell that for our audio listeners. It's MIMIKACOONEY.com. And everything related to my social media links, you can all find me on. I love to hang out on Instagram and LinkedIn. I'm also on Facebook and have a YouTube channel, all of Mimika Cooney. I have my own podcast, the Mimika TV Show, and I regularly provide trainings, and I have some tools, like I have 8 steps to supercharge your mindset. If you're interested, you can go ahead to mimikacooney.com. And if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to click the subscribe button and the little bell so you get notifications every time a new episode lands on the channel. If you're listening to our audio version, make sure to subscribe and rate and review. We would love to have your feedback.